Alright guys, so in the last video we made a lot of progress. We created our HTTP and UI module, and now we're able to get posts, we're able to display them in the UI. So it's going to directly relate to whatever we have here in this URL. Now what I want to do is make it so that we can add a new post. And we couldn't do this using the remote JSON placeholder service because they're not going to let just anybody add stuff to their database. But since we set it up locally, we'll be able to do it. So what we're going to do is just create, let's see, we're going to create a new event listener in our app.js. So we'll say listen for add post. So we'll say document dot let's do document.query selector, and we want to select the post submit button, which has a class of post-submit, and we're going to add an event listener to that. We want to listen for a click, and then we're going to call the general add post, and then down here we'll create that function. Add post. Okay, let's put some comments here. We'll just say get posts. Now what we want to do here is, of course, get the values from our form, and then we want to use the HTTP module to make a post request. So remember, we have this post method here. It's asynchronous, and it'll actually make a post request, and it'll send the body, it'll send the data that we pass in with the URL. Okay, so let's go ahead and first get the form data. So we'll say const title equals document dot query selector, and that has an ID of title, and we want to get the value from it, so dot value. And then we also want to get the body. And this will be body. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change the name of this from add post to submit post. And the reason for that is because this same function is going to deal with editing it as well. So I think add post, I think submit post is makes a little bit more sense, because we're not just adding it, we're also editing it. So we'll just change this to submit post. All right, now I'm not going to get into the edit just yet. We're going to do that later on. For now, our goal is to just add a post. So we will be changing this function up later on and adding to it. So what I want to do now is just create a variable called data and set it to an object literal with these values, like that. Now this is ES 2015 syntax for just this. If both of the key and the value is the same, then you don't even have to have the value. You can just do that. So it's the same thing. All right, now what I want to do is make our post request. So we're going to go down here and let's say create post. So we'll say http dot post, and in here we want to put the URL, which is going to be this right here. And then we also want to send along the data as a second parameter, and then that's going to give us a response, a promise response, which we need to use then, and catch. Okay, and then let's see, for the dot then, we'll say data, and we're going to actually set that to a code block. And then once we add the post, we want to see it added here, so we need to call the get posts again, and that will get the posts including the new one that we just added. So let's call get posts. So let's go ahead and save that, and that should actually work. So let's go ahead and say post 4. This is post 4 and post, and let's go down here, and there it is, post 4. If I reload, still there. If we look at the URL, localhost 3000 post, if I reload, there it is. It actually gets added to the db.json file. So this is again, I can't say enough about this JSON server thing. It's just awesome. It gives you a complete REST API just, you know, in a couple commands. So it's really nice. Now there's a couple things I want to happen. Let's see, I just reloaded. When we submitted the post, the text stayed in here. I don't want that. I want to clear that. I also want to have an alert that says the post was added. Okay, so that's all. That should happen in the UI module or the UI file here. So let's go to where we just called get posts, and right before that, let's say UI dot show alert, and then we'll say UI dot clear fields. Okay, we want to run these two functions, and show alert we'll have to pass in a message, and we'll just say post added, and then that'll also take in a class or classes, which will be alert and alert success. Okay, so now let's go to our UI.js. Let's go under the show posts, and we'll say show alert. We're also going to have a clear alert, and then we're also going to have clear fields. Now clear fields is the easiest, so let's do that first. We're just going to take the title input. Remember, we defined that as a property, and we're going to set the value to nothing. Same thing with the body input, set the value to nothing. All right, and then let's see, for the show alert, let's go up here. That's going to take in a message and class name, and this is going to be pretty much identical to the show alerts that we've done in the past in past projects. We first want to clear it, so this dot clear alert. All right, then we want to create our div. So const equals document dot create element. We want to create a div. We want to add our classes. So div dot class name equals, and let's say actually all we have to do here is pass in the class name variable or parameter that comes in right here. Then we want to add the text. Okay, so to do that, we're going to take the div, we're going to append child, and then we want to create a text node. So document dot create text node, and the text will be the actual message that's passed in right here. Okay, next thing we want to do is work on inserting it into the DOM. So we want to get the parent, and the parent is going to be the post container class. So I'm going to call this container and set that equal to document dot query selector, and we want the class of post container, which if we go to the index HTML is this right here, post container. Okay, so now that we have that, we have the parent, we need the post div. So let's say get posts, const posts equals document dot query selector, and that had an ID of posts. Okay, and then we just want to insert the alert, or insert div, insert alert div. We'll take the container, and we're going to call insert before, and pass in the div, the alert, and then pass in the posts. because we want to insert it before the post. That's what the whole point of this is. Post is here, I want the alert right before it. All right, now I want it to go away after 3 seconds, so we're going to go down here and we'll say timeout, and we'll say set timeout, and we'll just pass in an arrow function here, no parameters, and we're going to call this dot clear alert, and then put a comma here and say after 3,000 milliseconds, and then clear alert, we're just going to go ahead and put into a variable current alert, set that to document dot query selector. We want anything with the alert class, and then we're going to test to see if there is an alert. So if current alert, then we want to remove that. So we'll say current alert dot remove. All right, so let's save that. Let's try it out. So now when we add a post, what should happen? I'm actually going to delete a couple of these from db.json. We'll get rid of 3 and 4 just because I don't want it to be too long. So if I save that and reload, we only have 2 posts. Now let's add a post. We'll say post 3, and what should happen is this should clear out the fields, and then we should also get the alert. So let's click post, and there we go. Post added. Should go away in 3 seconds, and that clears out and it adds the post. Awesome. So in the next video, we're going to work on deleting the posts and then move on to the editing, which is probably the toughest part of the application. All right, so I will see you in the next lecture.